Hey everybody, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. Sunday, April 14th. So just starting out one of my videos a little differently here. This is my book, How to Swing Trade, available on Amazon. And a number of members in the room have asked me to do a video maybe covering one of the techniques or one or more of the techniques that I use to find my swing trades. And of course it's covered in the book, but they wanted to see something on a video. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. Of course, there's lots of information in the book, but like I said, a couple people wanted me to post something, and I thought, hey, it was a good idea, and go through how I do something they cover in chapter 12, which is scanning for trading opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that today. Okay, so let's get started here, and I'm going to use FinViz to do my screening today. In this example, I talked about a number of options. ChartMill is another one. Talked about that in my book. You know, and you've got your trading platforms. Some of them may have screening features as well. I know for sure TD Waterhouse has with their Thinkorswim. You know, they've got pattern recognition programs. So you know, you can do screening with a number of different platforms. I'm just going to use FinViz. You know, I've used it in the past. I kind of like it and it works pretty well. Fits the bill, as they say. So the first thing I'm looking for when I'm screening for opportunities is, you know, I'd like to know what the market is doing overall, general market. And we know that obviously from working in the day trading room every day and being on top of the markets and knowing what's going on. We know we're pretty much have been in a bull market right from December 24th. Seem to be coming into some areas of resistance. The Qs just seem to be moving higher. We're just getting into earnings season now, and we'll see what happens as more earnings roll out. But certainly the first sort of releases that happened on Friday, JP Morgan certainly came out with some good comments, and they of course made the market going higher. So we're dealing with a market that seems to be wanting to trend to the upside. So I'd be more inclined to look at stocks to the long side as opposed to the short side. And not to say there aren't short opportunities, but you know, and just generally speaking, want to be trading with the market unless I find something really compelling to trade to the short side. And I also like to know what sectors are good and what sectors are not so good. So if we're doing swing trading, we're not too concerned about the 1 day performance. Like to look at the 1 week, 1 month, 3 months. So you can see here, services, consumer goods, technology, industrial goods. I mean, those are all threes that, you know, those four have been, you know, good over 1 month, 3 month. Financials are popping up here a little bit. I think that was probably due to the JP Morgan results. But generally speaking, anything services, consumer goods, consumers seems to be healthy right now. Technology obviously still strong, and industrial goods all performing pretty well. So if we find some stocks in the screener that are sort of in one of those sectors, that's always a positive as well, because you want to be involved in stocks, the sector that's doing well as well. So as they say, a rising tide floats all boats, and you want to be in one of those boats that, if you're long, you want to be in one of those boats that's in a rising tide. Let's take a look. Let's go back to the home page now that we've kind of figured out where the market is and what sectors are doing well. So you can see here, you can actually start out on the front page without even doing any screening process. You can actually look at what FinViz has identified as our opportunities possibly. So people in the day trading room know I like these double bottoms. I like to trade off those. And you can see here, there's a couple of suggestions here. And the nice thing about these websites is you put your mouse pointer over the symbol, and it shows just a small overview of what the stock looks like. And so you can do that. You can kind of page along here and look for opportunities. You know, here's Hone, H-O-N-E. Gave a really nice double bottom indication back in February. Would have been a good trade. to take on a swing, and it's too late now for sure on this one, and that's why I wouldn't trade it. But that's why just having this little visual image of the thing, you can quickly look and say, does this warrant any further investigation? And I would say in this case, I'm not really compelled to look at this any more. It could go higher, but it's kind of at a breakout point now. But a significant part of the move has been gone. Shouldn't be moving that. Wedges are another good one to trade off of. You can see here, CG kind of looks interesting. Let's actually click on it. You can pull up a more larger image, and you can also get this nice summary of what's going on with CG down here. So you can see here we're narrowing into a very defined point. This is the fight between the buyers and sellers. Who's going to win? Looks like the buyers tried to take control today but got rejected from here. And again, this is something, CG is maybe something that could be interesting, might warrant being on your watch list. And if it can break out from this point here, be watching it closely. If it can do a breakout from here, we could be looking at 20, close to 21 for the next level of resistance. So if you can get in around 19 and a quarter or something, 21 could be a decent move to expect on that. And you can quickly look here at some of the financial stuff that the FinViz provides you. So forward PE, price earnings, it's still pretty low at this price. You can see here earnings per share this quarter is going to be down a lot. Earnings per share next year is going to be up. You can see here downgrades, upgrades. So they've Merrill downgraded this, Bank of America to neutral, to $20, so they're not really expecting a lot of upside. So again, something again with the technicals, you can keep an eye on this, and you can set your warnings in your stock platforms as well. You can have an alert triggered if it hits, say, 2050. I'd look at it closer on a chart before I decided where I wanted an alert. But that's one way you can screen for opportunities, just by looking at those pattern recognition programs that are on the front of FinViz there, and in maybe your platform that you work with. So let's take a look. Let's actually do some screening now and see if we can come up with something interesting this week. You can see here we've got, in this list, we've got over 7,500 stocks. So we're not going to go down the list here, blah, 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 and trying to go through 7,000 stocks and figure out which ones look good. We can use this screening tool. And I'll just enter some stuff here that sometimes I use, and you don't necessarily have to use it. You can come up with your own screening criteria, but this is the one I'm interested in using. So I look at some of the things I'm looking at here is average volume. I don't really like to trade shares or trade stocks that trade much less than, say, 200K. If you're in a stock that's trading 1,000 shares a day, you might be the only buyer, and in which case, liquidity is not going to be great. If you want to get out, you'll have to take the, if you're long, you'll have to take the bid price, whatever it is. Could be way off the money where you entered. And so obviously, you want to be in a stock that's at least trading 200K. Some people say 300, others like 400. That I would 200 seems okay to me. So already we've reduced the number of shares from 75, 50. Now we're well under half. We've taken out half of the stocks in that list. And as far as this, the other one I really like is relative volume, because I like something that looks like it's starting to pick up in terms of volume. There's interest starting to be generated in the stock. So so I use over 1.5. You can use over 1, whatever you want. This is just something I use. So now we're down from 3,400 stocks. Now we're down to 289. It's really starting to become manageable already, and we're really not finished yet. The price, I don't like to trade stocks under $1. So I'm going to use I'm going to filter out anything. I'm gonna want stocks over say $2. Let's just say $2. And I'm not using the upgraded version. So now we're down to 245. So we really didn't make much of a difference on that. You can see here there's 3 tabs. You've got descriptive, fundamental, and technical. Let's go to the fundamental page next. I don't generally use much of these. Yeah, I just don't. You can use some of them. I might come back to it if I wanted to filter out, get the list down a little bit lower. But I generally don't use the fundamental page too much. Let's go to the technical page. So you can see here we've got moving averages, true range, ATR, RSI, patterns. You can select a pattern if you want to look for patterns. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do one of the scans that I described in my book. So I look at the price. I'm looking for something that's sort of turning around, something that's been in a downtrend and it's starting to turn around. So the price of the stock has moved up above the 20-day moving average. Remember, it's been trending down, so all the moving averages are trending down. So I'm looking for something that's above the 200-day moving average, but is still below the 50 and is below the 200. So now we're down to 19 stocks. So that's that's pretty manageable compared to the 7,550 we started with. So let's take a look. So now we've got these 19 stocks. Now we can take a look at and see if we can see anything that's kind of interesting. So right away, the first one we come across, AAWW. That's kind of interesting. Looks like a cup and handle to me. So you've got that nice little cup between March and April. I can't really move the pointer off the symbol because the chart will disappear. But yeah, why don't I do that here? So you can kind of see here we've got this cup. Although it's it would have been nicer if it had just gone like that. That would have been a perfect cup and handle. But we're right back up at a area of resistance. So there's resistance here, resistance here. This was support, now has become resistance. And going back further, this again, this level seems to be important in this area, sort of around the 50. So this is something you might want to put on your watch list if it does break out. 55 is going to be an area that it's going to have trouble getting through. You can clearly see here we had some resistance here, came back up, tested it again before it broke out, and really just broke down. So we're right back at an area of prior resistance and a moving average as well. So something you could keep an eye on, as it were. Again, use your alert feature on your platform. So let's take a look down the list here. This one doesn't look that interesting to me. Just looks like it's going to be consolidating. Again, this one looks like it's sort of at a level of prior support and then resistance. Kind of came up, tested that level. Let's take a closer look at it here. So this is your area of resistance here. So get rid of that. And yeah, so you've got a level here up at 17. Let's go back to our screener. And this was an oil, and that BPMP was an oil and gas. And they seem to be doing fairly well right now in the energy sector. BRKL is right at an area of resistance, as you can see. Not really that important or not that interesting. It's a financial. Another financial. That's not an interesting chart. COP, again, an energy stock. Again, it looks pretty choppy to me. It would be hard to find a good setup. We're looking for patterns, and I discussed the patterns in my book, how to swing trade. I discuss some of the familiar patterns that we look for that give us good entries, and then we look for areas of resistance and support. So here we're back on this one. We've come back to a level, looks like prior support, and now it became resistance. And you could put this on a watch list with an alert feature. Healthcare, this GI, I tend to keep this off the list just because healthcare has been doing so poorly. And we're coming into an election season, and healthcare stocks and the healthcare industry tend to be one of the things that politicians love to beat up on. And so, if you had a reason to be short something, I would say, that would be a good one, because, the healthcare sector is going to be under some scrutiny for the next year. Lots of political candidates are going to be using them as a punching bag. Technology, here's ORBC. Chart doesn't look that interesting to me. Again, chart doesn't look that interesting. Star, maybe. It's financial. It's a REIT. Again, it just looks like it's stalled out here. This one maybe looks interesting. It does look like it's breaking out. It might be worth looking at a little bit closer. Consumer goods. We know consumer goods has been good. U.S. Bank Corp, the financial, doesn't look that interesting. Yeah, so maybe this one could look interesting. TEN. Let's take a look to see if we can see anything else. Go back over this. And maybe there's something here that you might see that I don't. I mean, I'm just looking for patterns. I'm looking for tradable patterns, and maybe there's something here that you see. Maybe you like this one, but again, it's healthcare, and I'm just reluctant to do anything with that. Again, this is what you do. You just page through, or you just stream through this, and you go, oh, that looks interesting. AAWW. Looks like it wants to break out. All right, so that is it. So, like I said, there's other scans you can do. You might want to try. Let's just do a completely different scan here. Let's set all these back up to 0. We want to keep these descriptives the same. We want to keep, $2 as a minimum price. We want to keep, having decent number of shares traded every day. But let's just, for example, let's see if there's anything that's overbought, over 90 on the RSI. RSI is an indicator. It's covered in my book. It's a relative strength indicator. When stocks they go ballistic, they get overbought, and it's just a measure of that. So you can see here, there's nothing that's super overbought for the 3 descriptive criteria we have. Now here we've got, it's 7 stocks that are really in the overbought, and this is something you'd want to look for a pullback, maybe a short. So Anadarko, you can see here it gapped up huge on the day, but sold off. I think Anadarko was that one that we're going to, Chevron was going to buy. BRSS really looks overbought. You can see it's gapped up. Most of these are going to be gap ups. Disney, again, that was a big play on Friday. Now it's the streaming service. And SRAX, which has really been on a tear. This is, there's gaps, and then there's just stocks that have been on a tear. This one's obviously been on a tear. It looks really, in my mind, that looks really overbought, what they call overbought. It's right back up at an area of prior resistance. And so, if you felt so inclined, and you could look for a move that looked like this, right? And where would you set your you'd set your stop at 6, and first target would be maybe 5. because this is an area where we had prior resistance, now becomes support. So you could set your first stop at 5. Maybe the next stop might be down at, your next target might be down at 450. 450 area, which was support here, resistance in this area. So there is another example. Let's look at the flip side of this. Let's say let's look at oversold, where the ISI is 20. Nothing is oversold. Interesting. That would be the opposite of being overbought. Oversold would be just, people have just been laying into it and selling, selling, selling. Let's take a look at this. Yeah. So, I mean, if you felt like you could maybe pick up a double bottom somewhere, this one here. Problem is, you don't want to be going along a stock that's just continually going lower. UNH, again, this is this healthcare issue where they've just been beating these healthcare stocks up, and that is not going to go away anytime soon, I do not think. Now that we've got this, the presidential, all these candidates, Democratic candidates, and I think even the Republicans are going to hop on that train to beat up the the healthcare stocks. Yeah, so here's MMLP. I was just looking at this one. Here's 11. 11 seems to be some area of prior support and then prior resistance. Tried to break up there and broke down. So could have a lot more downside to it, but maybe it might find some support around 11. Again, it would be a bit of a knife catch unless you kind of watched it to maybe do a double bottom. So again, you can build a bit of a watch list, keep an eye on things, look to see if we get some price action that looks like this over here. We get a test down, jumps up, comes back down, does a double bottom, and then maybe this was a bit of a false breakdown. These are a little bit harder to trade, so it false breakdown, but then it finds buyers come in and then we're off to the races. So we got $3 on that, almost $3. All right, everybody. Well, that's pretty long description about some of the screening techniques that you can use. Maybe I'll do this once a month or so. We'll go over the charts and we'll see if we can find anything new. I'm going to look at AAW again, maybe OEC and 10 that we picked up from the previous scan. Maybe take a look at those a little bit closer on my stock charts. And actually, stock charts has a screener too. So I'm going to flip over to stock charts. I'm going to do my or my end of week review, and I'll post that as well. But okay, so that's pretty much it. Again, this is my book, How to Swing Trade. It's available on Amazon if you want to pick it up if you haven't already read it or checked it out. And like I said, the stuff I just covered in this video was discussed in the book at length, and the patterns that we look for and finding support and resistance, it's all in that book. And if you had it on a chance, check it out. And that's it, everybody. Hope you have had a great weekend so far. Still a little bit left, and if you're with us in the Bear Bull Trading Room, we'll see everyone on Monday morning. And it's a short week, everyone, so just be aware that there will be no markets on Friday that are open. Ciao for now.